Hmm? Hello, my name's Walton, and I'm a cognitive hypnotherapist. That is neither a cognitive therapist nor a hypnotherapist on its own. It's something different. I don't believe that you can cognitively work your way through your problems, so I don't even try and get you to do that. I also don't know how to hypnotize you, so if you think I can make you cluck like a chicken, I'm afraid you're going to be really disappointed as you listen to this talk. However, if that is disappointing to you, then I'm a therapist, so I can definitely help you with that. I do my work eyes open, because I don't need to put you in any sort of trance. Your subconscious is in charge 90% of the time anyway, so you're always in a weird sort of trance state. Think of those times where a song's come on the radio, and as soon as you hear it, you remember a moment that it related to. Your subconscious is always pattern matching. It's connecting in a kind of massive web. Things that trigger in your environment right now to things that it remembers from your past. And everything's connected. Good, bad things, doesn't really matter. In that 90% of the time, it's pattern matching to everything that goes on. Have you ever compared notes with somebody about a childhood event where they don't either remember it or they remember it totally differently to you? We perceive things that happen in our own way. And the interesting thing is, there are approximately 7,363,228 minutes you experience before you're 15 years old. And any one of those could be significant and used for pattern matching by your subconscious. And put in a rule in your rule book. And the thing is, most of the rules that go in this rule book are things that we're used to living with, like a fear of spiders. Somebody thinks it's okay to spend 3 hours trapped in a room because there's a spider above the door. But every now and again, something comes along, a rule in our rule book that gets in the way of our life. At that point, that's when we seek out help. So what I do is I help with the rules in the rule book. So let's go through what these different rules are now. There are 3 rules. The first rule says that you must react first, or if you take the time to think, you're going to die. And these all come from the caveman days. So imagine you go around a bend, and there's a saber-toothed tiger in front of you. You go, is this my best spear? Can I outrun it? Well, then you'll be dead. So your subconscious triggers an instant physical and emotional response when faced with anything that might hurt you. All well and good in the caveman days. But what about in this day and age? Now, something that hurts you emotionally is treated exactly the same way as something that would hurt you physically. Let's say you're 3 years old, and your mum says you can sing Jingle Bells to the family on Christmas Day. And you practice for days, and you get really good at it. And then Christmas Day comes and you sing your heart out, but for some reason it doesn't quite go as you expect. You've got a lisp every time you say bells, and everybody just laughs every time you get to the chorus. And that hurts. And your subconscious says, whoa, we don't do this then. This hurts, and hurt equals death. And fast forward to when you're an adult, and you have to stand up and present to a room. Suddenly your subconscious goes, no, we don't do this. Remember how everybody laughed at you? I'm not going to let you stand up there and do this again. And you get that same fight, flight, freeze response. And your subconscious goes, see, I'll keep you safe. And you think, I'm never doing that again. And you engineer your whole life to never do a job with that in it again. The second rule of survival is based on the needing the love of your mother, and actually fast forward now to your parents. In the caveman days, as a baby, you wouldn't survive if your mother didn't love you. An animal born in the wild doesn't survive if it doesn't bond with its mother. So we're genetically programmed to connect everything that happens in our life to whether we're loved more or loved less as a result of our behaviours. Let's say you fall over and scuff your knee, and your mother gives you a sweet to make you feel better. Then when you're an adult, and something happens in your life and you're feeling particularly unloved, you find yourself turning to sweets because it makes you feel better. It reminds you that your mother loved you. It's a simple miscalculation that's being made all the time, giving things meaning that they don't really have. A third rule is to do with fitting in, and the final rule. If you think about it, in the caveman days, if you were not part of a pack, you would have no chance of surviving. So what this means is we're genetically programmed to connect to a pack of people, and to associate with the strongest person in the pack and get rid of the weakest person in the pack. Problem is, if we think we're the weakest person, so in the school playground somebody calls you a specky four-eyes, big deal, but to your subconscious that means you don't fit into the pack. The problem here is we physically evolved to be able to walk. We haven't mentally evolved, so we're still using the rules from the caveman days about what keeps us safe and well and what protects us, in that 90% of the time where your subconscious is in charge. However, there is good news here. The good news is we can rewrite the rules in the rulebook. They're miscalculations, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. So they're fairly straightforward to change. You just need to find out when the rule was created. And what happens is, in those 7,363,228 minutes, it's like an upside down pyramid. The significant event happens at the bottom of the pyramid and everything else is built on it. So if we change that bottom of the pyramid bit, if we get rid of that very earliest significant event, then everything else also gets reprogrammed and holds no significance. The way we do this, we travel back in time. We go through memories, we look at that first connection in that web that your subconscious sits in, and we find that earliest moment in that web of memories. And if we change that, then everything else changes. So, here's where we're at. Your subconscious is in charge around 90% of the time. Your subconscious is stupid. We are all screwed up because we all have a subconscious in charge 90% of the time, and everyone's subconscious is stupid and follows rules that it writes during childhood based on caveman days. However, the really good news is